You are listening to the APSE podcast, the Association of People Supporting Employment First, with your host, Chris Davies.
Okay, welcome back, everybody, to another edition of the Minnesota APSE video podcast. We're so excited to be back here for I think which is our fifth edition, our fifth episode of this podcast, and we have a very exciting guest today, Mr. Ajani Lewis-McGhee. Say hi, Ajani.
Hi.
And you're going to get to learn a lot more about Ajani in just a few moments. Ajani and I have been collaborating quite a bit lately, did a training together, Minnesota Social Service Association, and we also serve together on the Minnesota APSE board. He's a brand new board member. So welcome to the board, Ajani. Everybody give him a big hand. All right. So, again, as I always like to do and want to do before we get into it, I like to remind folks, especially folks that may not know about APSE or may not know about Minnesota APSE, what our purpose statement is. And in this purpose statement, it pretty much tells you who we are, what we stand for, and where we're hoping to help people go. So Minnesota APSE is an action-oriented organization. We exist to bring people together, to raise expectations so that people with disabilities can be employed, contribute, and assume their roles and responsibilities as citizens in their communities. Employment is the same wages, standards, responsibilities, expectations, and opportunities available to any working age adult. One person at a time, employment is the avenue out of poverty and isolation. And I know our guest here today, Ajani, who also sometimes likes to be called AJ, from what I understand. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay, so I might go back and forth and call you AJ here and there, if that's okay.
That's all right.
All right, awesome. Well, let's get into it. Let's get to know our guest here today. Ajani, could you tell the audience a little bit more about your background?
My background is I was born in Toronto, Canada, and I was there for until 5 years old, and I moved around the United States with my dad for a while, and then in 2008 we settled down in Minnesota, and then that's where I started my journey.
So you made the big trip across the border.
Yep.
Do you have dual citizenship?
I sure do.
Oh, that's fantastic. Do you make it up to Canada often?
I want to go back after COVID.
Sure. That makes sense. Well, great. So this is I wasn't even planning on this question, but how were you even alive in 1991?
I was born in 1980.
Oh, awesome. All right. So do you remember the game, the series between the Toronto Blue Jays and the Twins, the American League Championship Series?
I think I saw a peek of that.
So it sounds like you would have been about 11 years old. So were you in Canada then, or back in Minnesota? I wasn't sure the timeline there.
I was somewhere in the United States.
All right. So I was just going to ask you if you're rooting for the Twins or the Blue Jays. Okay, well, this is turning into a sports podcast all of a sudden. All right, so well, thanks for telling us a little bit about your background there. Tell us also, I know, because I know you a little bit, and we've talked. Tell us a little bit about growing up, and I believe you told me that you went to or they wanted to send you growing up to a deaf school. Is that right?
Yeah, they wanted to send me to a deaf school because at 4 years old, I was not speaking. And then I didn't know I was supposed to speak at 4 years old. I was young, so I didn't know what I was supposed to do at 4 years old. So they told my mom, you need to learn sign language. or send him to deaf school. And she said, no, I'm not going to do that. He'll eventually speak on his own. So that's ever since then. My mom, I do little sounds at 4 years old, and she knows what it means.
It sounds like your mom was a really good advocate for you.
Yeah, she was.
That's fantastic. It's great to have those people in your corner. And I know you have some other stories about your mom that are going to come up as we go on. So let's talk about employment. That's what APSE is all about, and that's the big thing we're here to talk about today with you. Let's start with the early days, as I like to say. Tell us about your early career. Your first job, and what was all going on there.
And you talking about my first job in Minnesota?
Yes.
Oh, my first job in Minnesota was at University of St. Thomas in St. Paul, Minnesota. I was doing the catering for the weddings and stuff, and then it was a great job. I liked it. There was nothing wrong. It's not really a career. So then that job died. So after a while, my mom went to a conference. She saw LifeWorks. So LifeWorks says they had a job available. So LifeWorks said, we just sign you up, and then we'll eventually, when the job opens up, we'll get you in as a contractor.
Okay. Excellent. And it's your it's your job that you mentioned at St. Thomas. Talk about how that shaped your understanding of what a good fit means or how important a good fit is for a job.
A good fit means a job has to have like a career path for you, build you up, build your skills up, make you more like you're on a path to successful.
Absolutely. I wholeheartedly agree. And as you've shown, sometimes to get to where you want to be, it's a journey, and you try some different things out.
Yep. Sure do.
Yeah, and so that's kind of led you to where you are now. Let's talk about what you're doing now. Why don't you start by just sort of spelling out where you are and what you do.
Right now, I'm at Allianz, North America. When I started there, working there, I was looking around at the different groups. Then there's no groups for people with disabilities and their parents and caregivers. So I noticed that, and then this is not very inclusive. So I went around to the company. I talked to my mentor, Neil Mcgee, and say, do you think we need a group for people with disabilities and their parents and caregivers? He said, yes. Well, I think we should be doing that a long time ago, but no one took the initiative to do it. So I took the initiative, and I ran around to the company and talked to different managers. What do you think about hiring people with disabilities? And we agree with that. I mean, I know it's hard to hire people with disabilities, but I'm a person with a disability, so I know what it is. I learned my job. I just learned. I like to learn hands on, but not visually. So I told him I could help you. You teach me the job. I could somehow work with my boss, and we could help you how to rearrange the job for people with disabilities and make it more efficient for them.
So if I'm hearing you're right, it sounds like you really helped some of the managers there at Allianz not only kind of get to a place of hiring people with disabilities is a good idea, but to actually helping them identify ways they could do that, and the types of jobs and ways they might be customized, if you will, for individuals. Is that right?
I said we could. Yeah, that was sort of right. I was saying me and my manager could help them make it possible if they wanted to do that, hire people with disabilities.
Right. So you sort of pave the way, it sounds
Yep.
like. Yeah. And tell us more about it's first of all, congratulations for not only making a difference with your own particular position, but it sounds like you really went an extra mile in identifying potential solutions for Allianz work and staffing needs, and also as a way to create an inclusive environment. And the term ERG, tell us what that stands for.
As an employee resource group.
And is that something that is a new idea at Allianz that you started?
We have several ERGs, but the group I started is now an inclusion group. We're like one step close to being a ERG group. That's our goal.
Okay, I see. So ERG groups exist at Allianz, and what you're doing is sort of starting. Sounds like you're doing a pilot to turn it into an actual ERG at Allianz, based on inclusion, an inclusion group.
Yep.
That's fantastic. How many members do you have in the group so far?
We got 50 members.
50. Wow. That's fantastic. Is that are those employees from all over the company that do different things? Or tell us more about the group. Who are the 50 members?
It's employees, mostly like parents, mostly it's parents that want to learn more about disabilities and how could they advocate and get resources. Okay.
So you don't necessarily have to work for Allianz to be in the group. Is that right?
No, I'm accepting people, whoever want to join.
Okay. All right. Excellent. So in a lot of ways too, it sounds like it's a way for Allianz to provide a way to connect with the community.
Yep.
All right. Excellent. So just going back a little bit more to your actual specific job for Allianz, how long have you worked there?
I worked there 10 years.
10 years. That's awesome. Congratulations. Did you just have an official anniversary of 10 years, or what was your hire date?
It was June, I think, 2015.
All right. Awesome. So tell us what you do there specifically.
I work in the supply department in the basement, and then I send out supplies to different agents in different states in the field, and I ship them out to them so they can sell the product to our clients.
Excellent. And what do you I know you mentioned the inclusion group. You're wanting it to be an official ERG. Apart from that, or once you join the ERG, what will that mean for the group, and what are your visions and hopes for the overall group?
Overall group is just to saying Allianz supports people with disabilities and being inclusive. It shows that people with disabilities are welcome at Allianz too, and they have a place to come if they need help.
Excellent. So if somebody wanted to be involved in that group, what would they do? What would they need to do? Contact you, or how would that happen?
contact me. I'm the founder and the chair of it, so I'm basically in charge.
Excellent. What's the best way to contact you?
Through my email.
Okay. Do you want to tell all of our audience what that is?
You can talk. You can contact me during Ajani, Ajani Woodson, Woodson at gmail.com.
Okay. So Ajani Woodson at gmail.com. Okay. If people are interested in learning more or even being involved in your group. Fantastic. Yep. Fantastic. All right. So let's go back to the beginning. Tell us a little bit more about what your mom did. From my understanding, your mom also was a big part of helping you end up getting hired at Allianz overall. Is that right?
Yeah, she was.
So tell us how that unfolded.
She went to LifeWorks, and LifeWorks said we need to sign him up, and then we're gonna put him in this job at Allianz, and then the rest, it was up to me to show what I could do at Allianz.
And it sounds like as you started to work at Allianz, you got more responsibilities and more independence over time. Is that true?
Yeah, I got more independence. I was a contractor. They saw how hard I worked, and my boss came up to me and said, we want to hire directly onto Allianz as an employee with part-time with full-time benefits.
That's fantastic. Yeah. So tell us more about the benefits you get there.
They have good health plans, but I don't use them. I use the government that they give people with disabilities, and they give us PTO time off, and this recognize employees for great work.
Excellent. So you get paid time off. And I remember you telling me when the world's back to a little bit more normalcy and we're all going to sporting events, don't you get another benefit there?
Yeah, we get tickets to a new soccer field.
Excellent. Which I shared with you, if you remember, is literally just out my back door here. I can walk to the games from here. So you got it. Next time you go to a game, you got a place to park in front of my house if you want.
Okay.
Fantastic. Yeah, we're hoping to get back there at least in some capacity soon. It sounds like. Yeah, well, those are all great benefits. I know I would love that benefit as a big soccer fan myself. Let's talk a little bit about the future and some of the other things you're doing outside of Allianz and the ERG inclusion group. Tell us about your presentations that you do and your public speaking.
I did right now. So far, I did like 6 public speaking events. One was at Ashley Ullman at LifeWorks at APSE's conference. The other ones were Twin City Startups. I did MSSA with APSE. I did one for the Jewish community. It's just all over. I mean, now I'm planning one for Golden Valley as a forum to reach out to the businesses and tell them why we need to hire people with disabilities, and tell them people with disabilities are just like human like you are.
That's great. So will you have all of your presentations thus far been on like Zoom on this type of format, or were you doing it before the pandemic started?
It was mostly on Zoom or what other like Zoom.
Okay. All right. Like a Teams meeting or who knows what? There's all sorts
Yep.
of stuff out there. Go to Teams, Google this, Google that, so on and so forth.
Yep.
I had never used Zoom up until a year ago. Now I'm on it multiple times a day. So
Yep.
the world changed in a lot of ways a year ago, as you know. Well, that's fantastic. So it sounds like you've really become a voice and a sort of a leader for almost sort of like a an expert voice on why hiring people of all abilities is a good thing to do, and the value that it can not only bring to people but to organizations.
Yep.
That's great. That's good stuff. And I understand that you might even want to take that a step further and get into politics. Is that right?
Yeah.
So what would that look like for you? Do you have any thoughts about that?
I'll first run for city council, start small, and then work to the federal level. And then I just want to finish the work that Tom Harkins did. He said right now he's saying the American Disability Act is not finished how he wants it to be finished.
Yes. And for our listeners who might not know about Tom Harkins, tell them who that is.
He's the founder who wrote the American Disability Act because his son was deaf and he got shipped off to school.
Exactly. Well, that's great. Well, I certainly, I'll certainly be a big supporter of yours as you begin that career. So it sounds like you really have an idea of, starting with city council, kind of getting your feet wet in the political arena and seeing how far you can go. Talking about going up to the federal level. Are you talking about, Congress, Senate, or what kind of dreams or aspirations do you have?
This, I don't know, whatever house. I mean, I don't really care. I'm really good with people. I get along with everybody.
Yeah, I can attest to that as somebody who's gotten to know you over the last several months. No, you'd be great. Well, we'll all sort of keep our eye out for you on some of the plans you make, and like I said, you've got my support, and I'll certainly lobby for you and contribute to your campaign fund. All that kind of stuff. Whatever's going on. Drive the bus. You're going to do a tour bus, a little whistle stop tour or something like that. So, I know that you believe inclusion is we talked about how important that is to you and the inclusion group you've started, and that it's really a basic right. So tell us about your perspective on why inclusion matters and why and what needs to be done in the years ahead.
I think a lot needs to be done. I mean, we need to really go after companies, telling them we need to be including everybody, not certain people, because people with disabilities are out here just not working. They lost their jobs because COVID-19 started, and or they get fired from a job because they didn't tell the disability. But I don't think that's right, because I'm over here working at a great company, and I just want everyone else like me have an equal opportunity, live their American dream like a lawyer or a I mean, we live people with disabilities live below the poverty line right now. We need to change that so they can actually support themselves if their parents die or go away.
Yeah, I here. I agree with everything you just said, and as you know, the statistics for people with disabilities in terms of unemployment and the poverty line, as you stated, are much higher. And to me, employment isn't something you should have to prove that you can do to opt into. If one is in a situation where they don't want to work, well, they can maybe make that decision, but I think the expectation should be that everybody can work that wants to work. And the only way we're going to get to a truly inclusive environment is with the great work of people like you. As you know, it takes many of us to make a difference, but any one of us can only control what we do. And you certainly spend a lot of time and efforts individually to do what you can, to continue to move the world, Minnesota, the country, to a more inclusive mindset, not only mindset, but actual, practice of. And my personal, hope is that we're not really talking about people with disabilities. People are people, and everybody has something they can contribute to the workforce. It's about helping them and helping employers find what that is, one person at a time with the right job, for that person. Obviously, you're in a great, position for yourself, and you're in a situation where you can really use your talents of social organizing with a company that values that as well, and that's giving you a real platform, to do your work.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's great stuff. Great stuff. So, how are you enjoying being on the Minnesota APSE board so far?
It's great. I learned stuff. I'm just a brand new member, so I need to learn what APSE is about. And then I think they got the same vision as I do.
Yeah, well, I know I think I can speak for all of our board members that we're delighted to have you, on the board. And as you know, and you've learned that, we get what we put into it. And it's really a board of folks that really believe in employment first, employment for all, and offer their own individual, talents to the board, and sort of helping us with our strategic directions. And you've stepped right in. You've been a real key part of our community engagement group and helping us do some trainings, as you stated earlier, with Minnesota Social Service Association, as well as presenting at our conference, which I think really helped you get elected to the board, because everybody saw you and saw how awesome you were, and realized that you were serious about getting work done. And it's been great having you.
Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. No, thank you. It's a real honor. Well, what just in general, before we kind of sign off here, what advice would you give to someone who wanted to try and help the world be a more inclusive place?
I guess you just read the American Disability Act. First of all, know what the American Disability Act language speaks of, and learn the history of people with disabilities. I know there's a lot of books out there talk about it, and then just get the facts. I mean, that's all you have to do. I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there on the internet. You could Google it. I mean, right now we know of Tom Harkin's still out there fighting for people to get employment. He's literally talking about it on YouTube. And just need to take it one step at a time, one company at a time, one business at a time. Eventually we'll be getting there.
There you go. If you will, just think about 20 years from today. Okay. So March, what is today? March 25th, 2021. So,
Yep.
So let's say March 25th, 2041. What do you hope the world looks like?
I'm hoping the world look like we don't have high people with disabilities unemployed. That number should be going down. I hope we have a person with a disability as a president.
That's a great vision, and hopefully that happens even before 20 years.
Yep.
I like it. I like it. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. Again, everybody, this is Ajani Lewis-McGhee. He is a self-advocate. He is a corporate services associate at Allianz. He is a social activist and political activist, and somebody that is not only making his mark on the world right now, but I think there's so much yet to come, and I'm very excited to see all the things you do in the coming days, months, and years, Ajani. It's really a pleasure.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. And just as we sign off, I just want to remind everybody that if you can believe it, you can achieve it.